Today we're going to cover when you get on your journey, your wellness, your health, your fitness, mental wellness, spirituality, everything, right? And you get on the path. And we're not talking about the same as someone who decides to do a New Year's resolution. Mm-hmm. It's not the quick fix motivation, I'm going to get it done, and then it kind of dies in 2 weeks.
Yep.
You're in this, right? You've tackled
on a journey.
You've tackled a couple of months, your lifestyle's changed, you're in the system, right? You're doing what you have to do, and you're doing it on a daily basis.
You've had a fundamental shift.
Yeah. So you're now running the path, you're on the journey. What's inevitably going to happen to you, and it happens to all of us, is you're going to deal with injury, you're going to deal with derailment, disruption from multiple places. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can have good runs where you can go months on end and everything's well, but at some point, I can tell you from experience, at some point something is going to give.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, if you're following the protocols and you're doing everything right, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact is, if you are actively trained to be better, right? Whether it's mentally, spiritually, physically, at some point something's going to test you.
Yeah.
When it comes to training, it could be something as simple as doing the movement you've done 1,000 times before, and then something cracks, something pulls, something doesn't feel right. Right, and it happens to all of us. I'd go as far as to say is if you are on the journey and you're applying yourself in workouts, it's kind of rare to have anyone do these workouts. I've had periods of times where I could say I've had little to zero injuries.
Yeah.
But generally my experience is if you're pushing yourself, you're going to have something that's broken at some point that you're working around. So today I want to talk about how to navigate when this happens. And we're going to start on an injury, right? So something happens in the gym and I gain an injury. Maybe I hurt my knee. Maybe I tear something. Maybe it's really bad. Maybe I break a leg outside the gym and I now have to keep training, right? So what do I do? And the easy answer is don't stop, right? And you can't necessarily work around everything, but you can find a workaround to everything, right? So and I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you break your leg, I can't take that leg and do a workout with it. Right. It's gonna hurt to do certain movements, even if that's not related to
upper body.
Right. Even upper body. I'll tell you this from when I tore my pec, and my first line a week over. So I had surgery. I took it. I said, let me take a week. Just let the stitches start healing up, let it close up. And my first time, I can do legs, dude. I couldn't do legs. Like legs was almost impossible. You get on a leg press, you pull your pec. You get on a knee or leg extension, you pull your pec.
That's true.
You get on a leg curl, you lay down, you pull your pec. Yeah. Right. So I had to find smart ways to try and work around that, which was do a lot of walking, get on the treadmill, but keep going. Right. So it's not going to be the same type of workouts, but you have to find an alternative and you have to keep moving. And it's not then about PRs and massive progress. It's just about taking a step forward every day.
Yeah, it's about not stopping. Well, I think when I blew my elbow out and had to have reconstructive surgery in college, actually remember the doctor's order was very specific, and I was very impatient. And I had this huge brace on my arm from you've probably seen it. It's like a forearm to upper arm. Yeah. And I still went out and took ground balls. I still did, movements that I could do. I would run. I would do a bunch of things that I was told not to do, but I did it anyways because I was impatient.
Yeah.
And I recovered within 6 months whenever another guy recovered in 12. So the guy had the surgery 3 days apart from me. I recovered in 6 months. He recovered in 12. Because I was more willing to do things. Now, there was probably a little bit of risk that I did take, but it was ultimately, in my eyes, worth it.
There's an argument to be made for your body's natural ability to recover while still surviving, right? So there's oftentimes in nature where you'd have a pride of lions, and you'd have the male lion, and he gets into an altercation with another pride of lions, another male lion, could be with a buffalo, something happens, and he gets dramatically injured. Right now, there's one of two paths that happen when the lion gets injured. One, he either dies, either the injury is going to succumb to it at some point because he's injured, or he overcomes the injury and he's better for it. Yeah. Now, again, we're not a pride of lions or a lion out in Serengeti, but your body is kind of the same. You got to think of yourself in the event. This was 1,000 years ago, and we're hunting on the plains. If you fall down and you break something, right, you can either lay there and die, or you can get up and you can keep going.
Right.
And you can find ways to kind of heal. Obviously, we have medical technology which helps us advance this. But your body reacts to movement. Your body, your healing system is connected to keeping you going, right? So, I'm not saying break an arm and try and do what you did the next day. However, the quicker you get movement back into that arm, the quicker you start moving comfortably without risk, without pushing injury, and pushing it as far as you possibly can without injury. Yeah. My experience is that's the quicker you heal.
I mean, I didn't start taking ground balls and doing the workouts I was doing within like the first 30 days because I literally could barely move my arm. Yeah. But we were doing exercises right out of the gate to try to get extension. Yeah. Like we were trying to move that thing as fast as possible. I had a really good rehab team. I had a really good trainer with us. And we pushed that envelope right away because I just didn't want to be idle because I knew it was a time game, right? Yeah. And again, in a sport, it's different. But I think disruption as a whole is an important topic because, like, let's use an example of, we all work, right? This is our target audience is the entrepreneurs, even corporate guys. But like, what happens when you go out of town for a trip? You have a business trip. Your routines get thrown off, so that's disruption. So do you work out in the hotel? Like, I'll give the example. We're planning a trip to Chicago here in the beginning of October, and I'm already trying to figure out where the gym is that we're going to train at, trying to look at like our eating schedule and plan, like how we're going to go about it. Now we are going into the trip anticipating we're going to consume a lot of good food. Obviously. So we're going to calorie deficit leading into that trip. So we're planning, right? We're going into planning for the disruption, planning for the changes that are going to be going on. Yeah. So that we can absorb it effectively. But I think that's where people go wrong is they don't plan. I know we're talking injury, but to me, disruption is a big part of this.
But I mean, injury's the worst case scenario, right? Like the disruption you were talking about, I'd say is an expected disruption. Mm-hmm. You can expect at some point, if you're doing something correctly, there's going to be some sort of, I'd like to call it a natural disruption, like a vacation with your family is a natural disruption. At some point, you're going to take your kids, you can take the wife, you can go on a trip, right? And you're going to plan around that. So that. I'd say that's like the easiest disruption to figure out. Mm-hmm. Let's kind of take it 5 or 6 steps up, right? So let's talk about disruption, whereby it's something, your business starts tanking. Yeah. Right. Your business starts tanking and by no fault of your own, you're doing everything you need to do. The economy is not good. Sales may not be where they want you. Responsible. Now all of a sudden you have to pivot. Mm-hmm. Right. It's an unexpected disruption because you didn't plan or expect to have this happen. Right. So that's a good example, right? So I've been in situations in my life where I've been, especially in business, where I've been thrust from one business into another business. And with that comes, whenever you start a new business, as in if you start a new job, there's about a 6-month period whereby you are just in there doing everything you can. Yeah. Right. And sometimes, a 5-day workout week becomes a 2-day workout week. Mm-hmm. That's, in the end of the day, is you have to pivot according to what your outputs are. But you don't stop, right? It doesn't mean that you can always do things at the same level. The same with injury. Just because you have an injury doesn't mean I'm going to have the same output of workout. Right. But it doesn't mean you can't have a workout at all. And I think this is the fundamental importance here, right? Mm-hmm. Is these unforeseen disruptions which are going to happen. Mm-hmm. Death in the family, divorce, marriage, new relationships, whatever it may be, they're going to happen to you. Right. When they do happen, those are those pivotal moments where you have to sit down and go, okay, my life has been unexpectedly disrupted. These are the disruptions. What can I control and what can't I control? Now, if it's a business, unfortunately, if it's a business, you may be stuck having to do 18-hour days. I've done them before. You've done them before. Yeah. It's part of having to run a business. Now, yes, it's not as comfortable working out when you 18 hours in and you're only getting a couple hours of sleep. Yeah. However, you can still go and get a workout. It might only be a 20-minute workout. It might be the Ric Flair workout where you do squats, push-ups, and sit-ups in the morning. But do something.
I think back to my time in the corporate space because I felt like I lived these crazy days and hours, and the company that I worked for was big on the pace that they worked and how they were the closest thing to running your own business that you could have. Yep. And there was some truth to this. And their business model was like, hurry up and get the job done, because if you don't, your competitors will, right? Something like that. So they did everything. I forget the exact expressions, but it was something like, handle your business with a sense of urgency, because others will do it if you don't, type of thing. So everything had to be at lightning speed, right?
Yeah.
And so what that created was like, they called it competitive urgency, and it created it where it was for our customer, but it became very internal.
Yeah.
So like, you competed with everybody to get things done as quickly as you can. And so I remember I would spend times on Saturday mornings trying to catch up because others weren't working.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to schedule my emails to go out Monday morning, because if I sent an email on a Saturday, somebody would immediately reply.
Yeah.
And so there was this nature of like, I'm putting in all these additional hours, putting in these extra times. And so I struggled to identify, like, like you mentioned the Ric Flair workout. I fell into this vicious cycle of, I didn't know when to work out, and then I would make terrible food choices. And you add the two together, and it just became this vicious cycle that I couldn't break out of.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, looking back on today, like knowing what I know now and where I am today, I would have carved out lunch every day. I would have done it where if I meal prepped and I went to the gym, even if it was a 30 to 45 minute workout by myself, I could have got that done 2 to 3 days a week. I could have easily done that 2 to 3 days a week, but I did.
Hindsight's an interesting take on it, right? Because it's easy to apply something in hindsight.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, knowing your journey and knowing what you were doing in that corporate space, most likely if you knew what you knew today and you were put into a position, you would probably quit that job and start your own business. Let's be honest. You wouldn't put up with that.
Which was always something I wanted to do anyways.
Yeah. So I think the lesson there is, we're trying to maintain a balanced lifestyle, right? Now, I can weigh this into the scales of justice.
Just in case our listeners hear this noise in the background, we're getting some heavy Florida rain right now.
So, you look at the scales of justice, right? And they're always weighing one side or the other, right? They're never truly equally balanced. Sometimes it tips one side, sometimes it tips the other side. Your journey is going to be the same thing.
Right.
Right. It's not always going to be this perfect balance. And your purpose is to maintain a semblance of balance and readjust when it tips one side or tips the other side, which it naturally will. Right. Sometimes, workouts are going great. I'm lifting heavy. I'm making progress, and I'm really enjoying it. But I've learned over time that at some point you're gonna get there's a negative return.
Yeah.
Right. And it sounds all great. Every day I'm hitting PRs. I'm lifting heavier weights. I'm pushing. That's great. But at some point, the rest of your body is going to react to it.
Yeah.
So you've got to, sometimes you've got to slow down. Sometimes you've got to do more reps. Yeah. And this goes the same for life, right? Sometimes in work, sometimes you've got to put your head down. You've got to focus. Yeah. And that means that everything else is going to take a little bit of a back seat. It doesn't mean it disappears.
Right.
Right. It takes a little bit of a back seat. Workouts, like I say, a 5-week, 6-day workout week might become a 3-day workout week. That's okay. And in your mind, you're going, right, I'm going to do this for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to get back to this. It's a process. Yeah. Right. The places you cannot really lax, right, is, I'd say, with family, relationships. Those are the places you have to try and maintain a semblance, because there's nothing will destroy a relationship as quickly as your focus waning to a point that you don't put effort into those important spaces.
I'll give an example. So like yesterday was a really good reflection moment for me. I was getting like a weird feedback there for a second. I came, so I take care of a few properties. So I had some things I had to take care of, property wise with maintaining them. So woke up in the morning, had breakfast with family. Sam had to do her cardio because her show's coming up. So she got her cardio done, had breakfast ready, got kids breakfast, all that kind of stuff, my own breakfast. She came home, we had breakfast together, spent some time in the morning with the family. And then I'm like, all right, I'm off to go take care of the rentals. So I go take care of the rentals. I come back, and it was a nice enough day. And I was like, I really should take the pressure washer back over and do some stuff on one of the properties that I really was thinking about. Yeah. But the girls want to get their ears pierced. And Sam was like, hey, what do you think about it? We found a place to take them. And she's like, we got to do a consultation with them because of their age. She was like, do you want to go do the consultation? I was like, yeah, let's go. So we dropped everything, went, did the consultation. Took us a couple hours to do that.
Yeah.
We got back. I was looking at the time. I was like, I still got time to go do the little job that I wanted to do. So I did it.
Yeah.
So I ran back over. It took me about an hour to do the small little job that I needed to do. Got it done. Came back. Got back involved with the family. But when I was with them, and this is something I've had to learn, is like that presence being there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's the beauty of like being an entrepreneur, is like, you know, and then we were working Saturday morning, you know, doing some stuff out here, plating and doing some initiatives there. To me though, that's not, that's work.
But it's a passion
enjoyable.
Project. It's a passion project.
So
it is. It feels different.
Right? So it feels different, but it's like, I think the reality is like, and even then I had my son with me and he was bored out of his mind during that period of time, but then I took him to do some fun shit after.
True.
Right. So he had a great time and he got a couple toys and stuff whenever we were out. And I made it up to him and just gave me an opportunity to just like be present with him and in the moment and not worried about other shit.
And on that, that's the reason that you fluctuate, or a lot of people fluctuate to be an entrepreneur is because I'm going to design the life I want to live. Yeah, right? For sure. I want to design a life where I can have the balance of having all the things. Now, listen, I'm gonna be 100% honest and tell you that if you're looking to be this savant business owner who, you know, makes $100 million a year, listen, I'm not saying it's impossible with balance, but I'm telling you that people who are hyper focused generally run in, but they also slip on all the other levels, right?
Yeah, I think it comes at a price. Like you, I mean, you know, the financial gain is stuff that we're still working on, but I think what I know to be true, like I could go out and work all my problems and be making way more money than I'm making. Yeah. But at what cost? Well, my family.
It's the balance that you're paying off. Like you said, your family. It's that balance of being able to balance out all the other things. It's the idea of one day when you are sitting on your deathbed, right? And hopefully you have family around you, grandkids, great grandkids, and you're sitting there, right? You are not going to regret the extra hours you didn't spend at the office, but you are going to regret the hours you didn't spend with family. Right. And if you know anybody in your life, right, that is over 40, 50, 60, have a conversation with them, right, and see from their perspective. They'll go, no, work more. What do you mean more, right? You're going to regret the things you didn't do with the people you love. Yeah. Right. And this is where the balance part comes in. Now, there's an argument to be made, you know, for guys like Elon Musk, who is literally trying to colonize another planet. Right. He's trying to get to Mars, colonize it. That's his purpose in life. That's what he wrote. In the same breath, the guy's got, I think, like 20 kids now. I think he's on his he's got like 8 or 10 kids, right?
He does a lot.
He doesn't seem to have a lot of time for relationships. He seems to spend most of his time attached to what he does, which is his passion, right? And that's okay, right? That's his life. Now, here's the thing is, it must be nice to be I don't think he cares, but it must be nice to be the richest man in the world on paper. But realistically, is that the life you want for you? Right? Am I willing to do what Elon Musk does on a daily basis to maintain that position? Again, we're not even talking about capability. I'm not Elon Musk, and I'm probably not even near his IQ level. But let's for a second say, I could go, right, and I can now be the richest man in the world. I could be worth $300 billion, right? And in order to do that, I have to walk in the shoes on a daily basis of what Elon Musk does on a daily basis. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not willing to do that. Right. I'm not willing to take that cost and that sacrifice, because everybody's journey is theirs. Right. And what we tend to do is we tend to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. You know, you look at that successful guy over there. Oh, you know, he's got everything, right? And that successful guy is looking at the cleaner in the gym going, oh, I wish I had so much time to just talk to people. And that cleaner in the gym is looking back at you and going, well, I wish I was that guy and had this. Stop wishing that you had what others have. And as you said, be present in the moment and realize and have gratitude for what you do have. Yeah. And maximize that presence. That balance part we're talking about and those derailments. Why is it important to keep your head above water when they happen? Here's why it's important. A derailment, a health derailment, a relationship derailment, a business derailment, an injury derailment.
They come from nowhere.
Right. They come from nowhere. But when they happen, those are the fundamental things in life that are going to throw you so far off that it could throw you so far off your path and it may take you years to adjust. So while things are going well, right, while things are good, while you're building your journey, you're trying to strengthen your resolve as a human being, as that person who wants to be the best version of yourself. You're strengthening your resolve, not for when times are good. You're strengthening it for when times are not going to be good, when times are going to be challenging. Because in those times is when all of these things we're talking about, being balanced, being on a journey, I'm gonna say something that many may agree with. It seems difficult, but I can tell you, once you're on it, it's probably the most blissful experience you'll ever have. Right. I'm not saying it doesn't take work, but when you switch your mind shift and realize that the work and the journey is what I'm craving, and that's actually what gives me purpose, it stops becoming a thing. And now all of a sudden I'm so overly focused on the fact that my life is amazing because I have gratitude, I have abundance, I have people I love around me. Right now, if one of those things get taken away, which they inevitably will, this is just human nature, this is the life we live. Everything we have done, the training, the strengthening of your mind, the strengthening of your spirit, having faith, right, having abundance, those things are the most important when you are derailed. When you're derailed, that is when it's important. When a week ago Saturday, I was doing a farmer's walk. Right, and regular exercise, weights I've done before many times, slight variation on what I'm doing, and I felt a tear in my bicep. Right, put the weight down. Now, am I going to tell you that I was all hunky-dory and knew what it was? No. Within a split second, my brain was, oh my God, I hope I didn't tear my bicep. How long am I going to be out? What is this going to affect? Oh God, it happened for a split second. And then I retracted and I used everything we talk about in these podcasts, right? And what we tell people on the Elevation Labs is I then rolled it back and I put myself in the present. Okay, how is my arm feeling right now? Well, I'm definitely not going to go test it, right? So I'm not going to carry on with this because I felt something pull. Great. What's my mobility like? Move my arm around, go, great. Go look in the mirror, does it look like something's ripped off? Okay, everything looks good. Now, you can't tell on the first day because the inflammation has to set in, you're still warm, right? First thing you do, rice, rest, elevation, cold, hot, right? Everything you've got to do, right? Put that on. Anti-inflammatories, rest. Okay, tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm gonna fundamentally know how bad this is without having had gone to a doctor yet. If there's blood, right? So if I start getting bruising, I've torn something badly, right? If tomorrow I wake up and I have no mobility, it's probably a bad tear. Wake up the next morning, it's painful, but my mobility is good. I can feel it. I'm like, okay, it's a pull, right? No doctor required. I've been through enough of this, but I kept myself in the present. Great. So now what's my next steps? Okay, well, this happened on a Saturday. Sunday, I'm going to rest. I'm going to get back home. Flew back down to Florida. Get back home. Great. It's Monday. Monday, you and me worked out. We did legs. Legs was fine. Absolutely normal workout. Worked around it. Felt good. Right. Tuesday comes around. We did shoulders. Right. Did a full shoulder workout. Now, we're talking about the long head of the bicep, which is a stabilizing muscle for your shoulder joint.
Which I actually, the same Saturday you tweaked your bicep, tweaked something in my shoulder. And then Saturday, I didn't realize that injury occurred, though, until Saturday night whenever I couldn't sleep because I was feeling the pain. Like, to a point where I was wondering if it was an injury myself. Same protocol. Sunday I rest. Trained Monday. It kept improving. Realized it was just strained.
And what do? We get to the gym, right? So Monday's a leg day. We don't have to worry about it. Just don't do anything stupid, right? Tuesday comes around. It's shoulders. Right. Directly impacting. So what do? We did an entire shoulder workout with bands and nothing heavier than 20 pounds. And I can tell everyone listening, amazing shoulder workout, amazing pump, got everything I wanted out of it. That's the adaptation I'm talking about, right? Because what you could do is, and this is the sad part, if you do go to a doctor, and this is not a crack on, there's phenomenally good doctors out there. But doctors are also bound by legal implications. So if a doctor says to you, hey, you know what, you've torn this, but you can go do this, this, and this, and you get hurt, he's liable because he told you to, right? So a doctor is always going to tell you to rest and not do anything because that's the least amount of liability to them. So nothing on doctors, I understand why they do that. However, if you listen to a doctor, right, in that regard, and you go do nothing, what you're going to do is you're then going to all of a sudden stopgap is essentially where you are right now, everything moving forward. You're going to put yourself into a dark place. You're going to get depressed. Find the route to work around it, right? And this has happened to me in multiple. I'm getting better at it as they happen. We bought a house recently. The entire process was despite every hurdle, every challenge that came ahead, everything was in the moment. Everything was based on faith, right? I have done everything I possibly can to make this happen. I'm not attached to the outcome. If it happens, wonderful. If it doesn't happen, I just split to the next decision. This is how you train yourself to deal with these bad times.
You just nailed something that to me is the most important thing that we could ever talk about, and that's not being attached to the outcome. I think that's where so much we talked about it in our weekly meetup with the guys here that are local to us. For me, what I struggle with is when I'm out in public and I'm seeing these dads that are out of shape and overweight. And I even had a guy in the building here this morning that was doing some stuff for us. And, well, two guys. One specifically I'm thinking about that honestly he's like in the skinny fat ballpark, I'll call him. And he's complaining of an injury in his forearm, and he rested for 6 months over it. And it's like, well, did you rest for 6 months, or just tell yourself you're resting for 6 months because you were actually just lazy and didn't want to go to the gym?
Yeah.
But the whole point is, to me, if I'm worried about the pain, and hear me out here, if I am worried about the pain of the workout, or the fatigue and soreness that's coming from the workout, that's being attached to the result. Versus, what are the benefits and the gains that I get from the workout, which is a result too? That's where people think, right? They think, well, I'm gonna look good and I'm gonna feel good and whatever else. Those are results, okay? However, I ultimately, yes, I do care that I feel a certain way, that I look a certain way. I care about that, okay? That's being tied to a result. But what I realized is, if I focus on the things that are within my control each and every day, like what I put in my mouth, when I train, how I train, the mindset, the things that I fuel my mind, the journey or the process, and I fall in love with that part of it and free myself from the outcome, my life gets way better. And it's just a byproduct. Like, the results are the byproduct of the daily work.
100%. But I think when people, I don't necessarily have a problem if you're attached to an outcome, as long as that outcome is attached to something you can control, not uncontrollable, unforeseen things that you cannot control. Because if you're trying to control an outcome, or you're attached to an outcome, but you can't control that outcome 100%, and by all means, I can't control anything that I'm not responsible or accountable for, that I can't do, right? So I'm accountable on a daily basis. As you said, I know I can go to the gym. I know what I can do. I'm responsible for getting up. I'm responsible for getting there. I'm responsible for lifting the weight. I'm responsible for the workout, what happens afterwards, the meals I take. Now, being attached to that outcome, I'm okay with, because I'm the one who controls it.
Yeah.
I think what I'm more leaning towards that emphasizing your points is when you're attached to an outcome that you don't have control over. So, buying a house, right? In order to get a house, right, if you're doing financing, you have to get approved for a mortgage. It's got to go through a 4-point inspection. Yeah. It's got to go through multiple levels, right? You've got to make sure you have enough money to pay you the deposit down in the house, everything else that's got to be paid. Those things, to a point, if you say you have it, you control. But now, your 4-point inspection, I can't control if that's going to go through or not. Yeah. Right? I can't control if the owner of the house is going to fix all the problems on the 4-point inspection. Right. I can't control what's going to happen with the loan, a mortgage. You as a mortgage officer, it may not happen.
So how's an underwriter going to interpret a guideline?
Right. So I'm not going to attach myself to that outcome because I can't control the outcome.
Right.
I think the important thing here is, a lot of times when we see an outcome, especially if it's something we really want, right? I want to buy a new car. Oh, great. I'm going to go down to the dealership. I want that one. This is how much it costs. So you go through this whole process. But in order to get that, you got to get financing for it, or you got to have the money put down. Like, if you have the money, great. But if you don't, you can't control the outcome. The guy might come to you and go, listen, your credit score is not too great right now. You might have to put $10,000 down in order to get this at this rate. So it's not really things you can control, right? So that outcome, I have no stake in. I don't care what happens because I can't control it. I think the important aspect here is when you can control the outcome, be super excited about it. Right? If you're in control of that, now what outcomes can you control? You can control your emotions. You can control how you conduct yourself with people. You can control how kind you are. You can control how you talk to people, how you engage, what efforts you put in the day. You control all of that. Right? So be attached to that outcome because you can control it. But oftentimes when it's outcomes that people can control, that they're accountable for, they're responsible for, and they have to put the work in, those are the ones that usually fall down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the emotional one's a big one. Like, I struggle with control of my emotions for a long time, and it's because, like how you sports, I feel like sports wires a lot of people, at least in American sports. Like, if you watch an NFL football game, what happens when a referee makes a call that he doesn't like, or a play happens that he doesn't care for? What does he do?
Big emotional response.
There's a tantrum on the sideline. But yeah, we tell these young athletes, playing sports prepares you for life. And we watch these NFL coaches or a college or whatever level coach throw these tantrums. It's not all of them, but they throw these tantrums over situations that they don't like, that it's out of there, whatever the reasoning, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, I was a big athlete. I grew up playing all the sports I could, played Division I baseball. And I had a coach that was pretty hard-nosed. God rest his soul, he passed away. I don't want to say ill of the dead. Big intimidator, if you will, and like a little emotional responses with stuff, screaming and yelling, and that's fine. That was that generation. And then you go to the military, and then in my case, military, a lot of emotional responses, a lot of hard, things that would happen. And so you just get wired to have these emotions and these responses, right? And so until you deal with, and not to go into this direction with this podcast, but like, until you deal with some of that stuff, like, you're going to find yourself reacting emotionally to things, and you're going to wonder why you're doing it. And at least that was my story. So having control of those emotions is a big one, and especially as you age. Like, that 30-something range is like a big number to, like, that 30 to 40 range is a big window of where you're going to start, a lot of this shit's going to happen because you get married or you have kids or whatever life circumstances come your way, and then it all just starts to come to the surface, and it comes out, and it probably going to come out in ways that you're not expecting.
Yeah, but you're not off topic here, because those emotional responses, right? They're if you can control them, and you can learn. And then here's the thing: is controlling emotion isn't subduing or suppressing it. That's not what it's about. You have to embrace it. Right, you have to control it. You have to understand it. You have to, take that trigger, switch it around, and go, why am I doing that, and find the trauma. But my point I'm making is you're not far off the topic here, because in order to control yourself when things derail, controlling how you emotionally react to that and controlling is super important, because that coach, right, that army instructor, that drill sergeant, the reason they did it that way was because that's the easiest way to take a young man, break him, and mold him into what you want.
Well, the army, like, the side step to the army, like basic training and stuff, is wired. It's created for chaos. They want you to have chaos so that you can learn how to function in the chaos of war. And I get that. That makes sense to me. Like, they break you down and they build you up to learn how to think in high pressure, intense situations. And that I agree with, because it's necessary. Okay. But what happens with it is, get out of that environment, or just in the everyday way of life where it's not combat situations, it's not deployed situations, it's what they would call in garrison. You still have people bringing those same feelings and emotions to very basic stuff. I mean, I'll tell a story of something I did, because I don't want to point fingers at other people. I remember a guy that just had trouble. Like, he was, constantly trouble with, showed up on time, right uniform, right place, the PT stuff. Like, he just was always having a hard time. And I constantly was trying to help him, and then something happens, and we were on a mission. It was a mock mission, getting ready for a deployment. He messes up, and then my boss pulls me out, lets me have it over his actions. 10 minutes later, the dude falls asleep at his desk in front of me and my boss. And I pull this dude outside and just berate him, like, completely let him have it. And it was a different time, right? That was just how we were wired to do it. But it was that the most effective way to get something out of the guy? It worked for the time. And I'm not saying that's the right thing.
Here's the thing is, right?
But what I'm saying is that bleeds into later life.
100%. But I mean, regardless of whether it's sports, and I'd argue and say that, military preparedness is slightly different, but it falls down to the same thing. Whether I'm a coach, right, or whether I'm I'm the general trying to run my army. What I need strong, capable men that listen to my instructions without question.
I guess my example should be further clarified to say, I don't think my actions were wrong with what happens in the military and with a lot of the way they do it. But it's what happens is you bring it home.
Yeah,
it's right, and that's where it's not healthy to bring that type of parenting home or that type of lifestyle. And I would do it with my wife. I did it with my kids. And so I really had to break that mold, if you will.
Yeah.
Because, think about this, man. My kids, they're wonderful kids, but, dude, they don't stop. And they are in an environment in today's world where they always have to be entertained.
Yeah.
My daughter says to me, we were talking about Sam's competition coming up, and I was like, do you want to join us for the day? You're going to be bored, and it's going to be early morning prejudge and then late at night. You're going to have a lot of time in between. And she goes, well, can I have something to distract myself? That was her ask. She wants to be distracted and entertained at all times because she doesn't know how to just sit and read a book or just sit.
Which in itself is detrimental as you grow. But, going back to what you're talking about, I agree with you. There's no conducive way to transfer. They can say sport prepares you for life or army. No, what it does is it hardens you on certain things, but it doesn't really prepare you for the openness of what life brings in.
Right.
But it's not designed to in the same breath, right? There's a purpose of joining the military. The purpose of the military is to defend your country, have capable soldiers, capable of listening to instruction, following what they need to do, carrying out said mission.
Yep.
And honestly, sports no different. Without the contract sign, the regulations, but it's the same type of thing, right? You pay a hell of a lot more for doing a sport. But the point I'm making is none of those prepare you from a human being level. And again, it also depends on the person. You could go through that experience and grow from it depending on how well you regulate everything else you're doing. But the point that I think we're getting through here is, as men, even if you didn't play a professional sport, even if you didn't go to the military, right? If you don't learn how to regulate your emotions, because your emotions are always going to default to rage and anger. That you are a man, you are testosterone driven, you're always going to default to those. And if you cannot learn how to control those, right, and how to focus them, and sometimes what you can do is you can take that anger and that rage and you can focus it into a sport, into the military, and they'll teach you how to focus it, right? But at some point, it's not just about focusing, it's about control.
Yeah.
Right, you could be a raging Hulk, and then say, well, we'll focus it on that wall, right? But at some point, do you want to be the raging Hulk that someone else has to focus you, or do you want to be the one to control? Right? Do you want to be the warrior in a garden? You want to be capable of all these things, but be able to control that violence at all times.
Yeah,
and that's the important part in a lot of what we're talking about here. And in order to do that, you have to understand the fundamentals, right? You have to ask those difficult questions.
Well, I think another thought, it doesn't have to be about violence. We could use it as competing. Let's just use that. Where I battled this big time, where it was my way of trying to draw connection, and it wasn't very effective. But with my wife, it would be a one-up thing, where if she did something, I would have to almost it came across as if I was trying to one-up her, but I was ultimately just trying to create connection. And so it came across as me competing with her. Because
how messed up does it sound? Is that's how you'd create a connection with a buddy, a friend, another guy.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Totally.
Hey, you want to push it, let's push it. And you push it, I push it hard. Right. We create a connection, right? We do it in the gym every day.
Right. And that's how we talk, right? That's how, subconscious talk. It's just how we connect and how we would subconsciously do that. But with a spouse, it's very different. And that's why one of the things I'm appreciative of her doing the bodybuilding show, because it's not... I don't have any desire to do that at all. I'll never.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Knock on wood. I'll never want to, step on stage. But I've allowed. I've never was supportive of it. I was never understanding of it. I didn't get it. There was, and I'll admit to that. Right. I'll admit to those faults. So now with what she's doing, man, I'm the number one fan of it. I love what she's doing. I'm following other competitors. I'm watching videos. She's sending me videos of like posing stuff so that I can try to get a better eye on it. And I'm trying to study it and learn it. And I've truly become a fan of it. Now I do see the ugly side of it. I do understand that component.
Every sport
has that, but it's allowed me to take a back seat And even times now, I'll catch myself here and there where, you know, she's in the midst of the hard, like she's really, you know, close to the end, and I'll say something along these lines where, like, I don't know what you're going through, but I have done some hard stuff too.
Yeah.
And so it's me trying to draw a connection, not compete. And so I'm trying to be very wise and conscious to not overshadow what she's doing, because what she's doing is really fucking hard, and I've never done it.
Yeah.
I've never done that. And that's okay. And it's not about me. It's about what she's doing and supporting that. And I think men need to understand you can accidentally like overstep and compete almost at home whenever it's unintentional.
Yeah.
You know,
and like you said unintentional, and by no account, and I hope this for most people is, at no point when you say these things, right, or you interact with your spouse, you know, a girlfriend, someone close to you, when you interact, at no point are you trying to, your attention is not at all to hurt them, right?
Right.
The delivery is sometimes skewed, right? Because again, you're taking a man's logical brain, how we see things, how we conduct the world, and now you're trying to convert it and go, well, I'm going to do it that way because it should work, right? But now you're doing it with completely different species.
Right.
And the important factor here is this is where emotional control becomes a big factor, right? Because if you can start controlling your emotions, especially when it comes to your spouse, your girlfriend, that important person in your life, right? When they say something to you in critique, right? Because I've said this in the last podcast, you never ever take critique from someone you wouldn't take advice from. Now, if you married someone, God damn it, you better take advice from them, right? So you should be able to take critique the same way.
Totally.
You can't take all the pats on the back of how great you are and then not take them and tell them where you're messing up.
Right.
So when those things happen, right, you have to be able to listen, open up your mind, and kind of control that emotion, because your default setting as a man is to get angry. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it may not be angry. It could be a misunderstanding, because I think a lot of times we're labeled as angry when we're frustrated. Yes. We're trying to understand something. We can't. A lot of times it's misunderstood. It's not just angry. Right. And I think when you can maybe just take a step back, be in the present, stop having that little kid inside you, that little boy who's getting offended, who's feeling hurt. Just take a step back, because in the same way as everything you have said or done to your spouse or that person in your life, and none of it was done with malice, right? I was conveying this information to try and tell you something because I love you, and hey, it got lost in the delivery was messed up, and I messed it up and it hurt you, right? Great. If you can do that to them, isn't it kind of conceivable that they could do the same thing to you? And maybe in their delivery of critique, you might be getting hurt. So maybe what you need to do is, and I think we are the accountable ones for this.
Right? I agree.
This is why I say this, is we're
responsible for the environment.
It's not even, yes, I agree with you 100%, but it's more than that, right? Is when we talk a lot in our group, and we've spoken a lot on this podcast about trying to understand women. And here's the thing is, if you're going to try and understand them just by thinking it, you're going to fail every time. But what I found is when you biologically look at what a woman goes through, right, how their body operates, how they operate, and you go, oh God, like that's a pretty difficult thing to go through. Like, and here's an example, right? There's at home I've got this. It's basically a menstrual cycle stimulator, right? It's electrodes you put on your abs.
So you can experience it,
right? And it's not. I wouldn't say it's a 1-to-1, but basically,
gives you an idea.
I'll put this on my wife's abs, right? So I pop it on the same place that I put on mine, right? So this is basically where she'll feel period pain.
Yeah.
I crank that sucker up. Nothing goes to 10, right? 1, nothing. 2, nothing. 3, nothing. 4, nothing. 5, 6, 7, 8. Get to 9. She goes, yeah, that's about what it feels like. Put it on 10. Yeah, that's pretty bad, but I've had worse. And I'm like, okay, can't be that bad. Put it on my abs, dude. 2. And I'm literally folded on the floor at 2.
Yeah.
Right now. Again, their muscle structure, their design, they're different, but it gives me a little bit of a perspective of the amount of pain threshold they have on that level. Now, what does that mean? Like, if you understand that women have 56% less serotonin than you do, right, every day, that's pumped through your body, right? Serotonin, which means biologically they are more depressed.
Yeah.
They're in a darker place. That serotonin release is the reason men take more risks. It's the reason we're hunters. We're designed that way. We have to take the risks. We have to put ourselves in front for the family, and we have to take those risks to make sure they're fed, right? That's why women have better insurance rates. That's why women contemplate risk better than men do, right? And we perceive them as not wanting to take a risk or being stupid for doing it. But realistically, if you look at it from a statistic standpoint, they're better off. But they're designed that way because they're there to care for children.
Yeah.
They can't be risk bearing like us, because if they were risk adverse like men are, kids would be dead.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's just that's how they're wired. So when you start breaking these things down, right, and you start saying, well, you know what, take a man, and we've spoken to a couple of people that we've worked with, and I've worked with men, right, as young as 23, with testosterone levels as low as 200.
That's crazy.
Dude, that's like insane to me, right?
Yeah.
And think of yourself as when your testosterone level is so low, think of that fog you have over your mind, right? If you have an elevation of estrogen levels, think of the depression you feel, like the bad things, like all the bad things that come with low testosterone, right? A lot of those feelings is the normal state of a woman.
Yeah, that's great.
Right, and then when you put it in that perspective, you go, ooh, shit, okay, now I kind of have a little bit, I don't know, but as you said, I have a little bit of, I understand.
Yeah.
And once you can develop that understanding, it does help. From my experience, it does help me to take one step back and go, ooh, okay, I'm the man, right? I've got the better hormone balance. Hands down, right? I'm not contemplating, is it easier to be a man or a woman? You can go into that for days on end. Yep. But from a hormonal level, right? Estrogen is not a nice hormone. Doesn't make you feel good. Comes with all sorts of fucking things, right? I don't want to bleed for 5 days a month. I don't want to go through that pain.
No.
Right? So I have perspective on it. So out of the two sexes, right? If you're the man, you're the one who has the higher energy levels. You are the one who is able to drive yourself to levels that they can't, because you're bigger, because you're stronger. You are the protector. You are the provider. And why does that not mean that you can also be the more understanding one and the one who takes a step back and listens before you act? Because why can we have all of this power physically, but we cannot mentally or emotionally control ourselves? That is the hardest thing any guy listening to this is gonna crack.
Yeah. And man, I screwed up big time in the empathy department when it came to my wife and menstrual cycles and all that kind of stuff. I'm way better today. I still have room for improvement, but way better today than I've ever been. But going to what you just said, like why I think, at least in my case and some other like people that I know of that are going through some things, we just don't think. Like we don't step back. No, we just don't step back.
We're designed to drive through walls. We're designed to push forward.
We don't like, as much as we think we use common sense and stuff. Like I know of a situation. I gotta be cautious because I don't want to reveal anybody. But like, the person dropped the ball on something big for their spouse. Yeah, and to the female that I was aware of, there was. I basically said that he needs to be made aware. Yeah. Because he doesn't know. And the female was like, that's crazy. I'm like, no, that's true. That he just doesn't know. And he's just blind to it until he's told. And even then sometimes, like, because I live this, like sometimes we're told directly, but it's not delivered in a way that we can retain it. And so we just don't see it or catch it. And that was kind of my deal for a long time, where there were certain things that were being told to me that I just didn't. It wasn't being communicated to me in a way that I wanted to be communicated to. Yeah, and that's so I didn't receive it. And that's the lesson on women's side as well. Is there's ways you have to learn to communicate with your spouse in an effective way. It's not, again, there's a two-way street here. Real quick, I'll say this, like something I learned. You talked about anger earlier. Something I've learned to do, and it helps, I believe, is I'll say, if something's a little bit of a sensitive topic and I'm a little worked up, because I'm, again, I was an athlete. I was a catcher on a baseball field. Like that's the loudest position on the field. So I know how to elevate my voice. I was in the military. I know how to elevate my voice. And so I get passionate, worked up about a subject. I get loud. I sound loud. I'm the same. Okay? I know you are. So I have to say, I'm not angry. This isn't anger. I'm just sharing with you. Yeah. And doing that has changed and helped a lot. Yeah, it's giving a better understanding of your position where you are, because again, you are the stronger sex, right? Yeah. You're physically dominant, you're bigger, you're stronger, and those things can carry over. And if you don't have a good communication base, it can very quickly be misconstrued for something that is completely not. Which, let me tie this all back to disruption and how this actually relates to disruption. So if you have a relationship at home that's broken and disrupted, it really will throw everything in your world upside down.
Yeah.
And it'll get you off of your workout plan, your meal plan, whatever else. At the same time, I also feel like what happens, and I feel like this is something that's going on in someone that we've helped that has kind of, gone MIA, if you will, to where my perception is you found this groove based on some significant events that happened in your life and things were going well. And then all of a sudden, something that you thought you wanted comes back into your world.
Yeah.
And it disrupts the good that you had going.
Yeah.
And so that causes what you thought was the good to change you again.
Yeah.
And put you back on the trajectory that you became the person that you didn't want to be.
Yep.
Right. Now, hopefully I'm making sense with this, but there's also disruptions that you perceive that are good things to take you, and let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
A woman that you want a relationship with that doesn't align with your lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
That can throw you off. And that can be true of the man. Like a man can throw a woman's lifestyle choices off too.
But it's not just people, right? So let's say let's break this into a different round. You've gone on the journey, right? And we've spoken this before, is have no problem if people consume alcohol. I think everybody needs to make their own individual choice. But
agreed. Like
Joe Rogan has said, is if you're going to work out 5 days, 6 days a week, why the hell would I put something in my body that's just going to disrupt everything that I'm working for, right? And do I need it to have fun? Do I need it to be in a good mood? No, I don't. So I don't see the point of it. But hey, everyone live your life according to the best way possible, right? But let's say that you've enacted this journey, right? And you now decided, okay, right, I'm 100% into training, and you're into it, right? You're months in. It's changed your life. You are on a from every aspect you can tell on a positive trajectory. Your relationships are better. You feel better. You feel better about yourself. Like all those things are there, and you have a disruption, right? Then let's not name something. It's just a massive disruption in your life. Let's not lie and say that when you drank alcohol, there was a benefit, right? It tastes good. I had a good social interaction. I had a nostalgic effect from it. When I ate that,
the edge off.
I took the edge off, right? And I remember taking the edge off. And now I've got this new thing happening to me in this new journey, and I don't have this. I have to learn what this coping mechanism is in order to do this, because I'm still in the journey, so this is an easy thing to fall back on. Mm-hmm. The same way that it's easy to fall back on bad foods, right? Because a tub of ice cream's good. It makes me feel good. It's comfort food, man. Comfort food's amazing. Good food will always make you feel better. I don't care what anyone says. Anybody who wants to come and tell me, go, Chick-fil-A's got 50 ingredients. It's delicious.
Yes, it is.
Right. I don't think you should put it in your body. I'm also not going to lie about the fact that it tastes good.
It tastes wonderful.
Right. And when you're feeling like shit and you're depressed and things are not going well, those things make you feel good. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say they don't, because that's a lie. It's understanding, though, that do I want to put myself in a position, because it's a slippery slope. Mm-hmm. I've been on the slope before. I've been on the slope where, I'm going to do this. And, then it becomes daily, weekly, every week, monthly, and all of a sudden you're 6 months down the line, you go, I need to make a change.
I mean, honestly, like I'll just say, like I'm in the calorie deficit right now, right? I'm on my third week of it, and I put it off for a few months because I was enjoying
process.
I was enjoying like my reality, and I went, well, you kind of, like we've talked about, we don't like being comfortable, and I thought about that. I was like, I haven't done anything hard in a little while. Yeah, let me do something hard. Yeah. And so I did that, and I've disrupted my own. I made my own disruption for the good.
Yeah, and that's an active choice and things you should do, because you want to be comfortable being uncomfortable, which is great. Mm-hmm. But the understanding here is knowing that when those disruptions come, whether it's be an injury. Man, if you injure yourself, it's easy to go, well, you know what, I'm not going to follow a meal prep plan now. I'm just going to eat because what's the point of following a meal prep? I can't train the way I used to anyway. Yeah. What's the point? Because these are the excuses I made for myself. Mm-hmm. I'm injured, I've torn my pec. Yeah. I can't train like I used to train. Why am I going to eat the right foods? I'm going to eat whatever I want. Mm-hmm. And I ate whatever I want, and regretted it 6 months later. Right. Had to do the work back over again when I could have taken a little bit of a different path. But when these disruptions happen, always in the back of your mind, realize the hard decisions now lead to an easier path later. Yeah. The easy slipping decisions now lead to a harder path later. Right. And again, live your life the way you want. I'm not saying if you've had an injury, go in, like, do enjoy life, but in the same breath, balance is important.
Well,
especially when things are disrupted.
The elderly is a perfect learning place, right? If you look at those that have aged, you know, and we don't have to name anybody. You can literally just look at anybody around you that you have seen that's an elderly person. Like, I'm always interested in the age by age comparison, right? Like, we see people in the gym that are. There's a guy that I'm thinking of that I don't know how old he is, but if I'm guessing he's in his 60s and he looks fantastic.
Jacked.
Right?
Jacked. He looks amazing.
Fit as can be. And then I go to the store and I see a guy that can barely walk across the street to the store, and he's, you know, I don't know if he's 30s, but he's not very old. And you go, or like they're smoking and drinking lifestyle. Like the place I get a burger a lot of times when it's a refeed meal, I go in there and there's a guy that I've seen in this place for years that's just sitting at the bar for a year on end. And it's just like, again, it's the lifestyle choices. So I look at that person in their 70s and go, who chose well?
Yeah.
Who is dealing with the hard today? Who has got the better quality of life today? Like there's the guy that was a marathon runner that died at 114. Did you see that guy? Like he was from India. There was another guy that just died. He was a World War II veteran, 102 years old.
Yep. I think oldest World War II veteran alive. If I'm not
the TikTok
mistaken,
guy, right? The TikTok star. Yeah, I think so. I think he's passed. So I don't know if that makes him the end, or I don't know if there's any World War II vets, but
I know World War. I think World War One. I think he was World War One as well.
Was he?
Yeah. So, some crazy numbers. He fought in almost every war. But
look at it. But look at the age, right? And you look at like. I look at a guy like that and go, wow, what did you do to make it to 102?
Yeah.
Like, what was your lifestyle? What was your choices? You know, was it just genetics? I doubt it. There's probably some health choices and maybe genetics.
I've got a weird take on that, right? Because it's like I've always said, is I don't really care I don't do this for how long I'm going to live, because that is an uncontrollable factor.
Quality of life.
Not that it's not interesting to see someone who has had that and see how they improve the quality of their lives at their age. I mean, there's 100% merit in that. But, you know, like I'm always interested is, let's say someone did die. Let's say they died at 40.
Yeah.
Right. At the age of 40, right? And I always, this is a question I always ask myself, because you never know when the end is near. You never know when it's coming, right? It's just the unknown of life, right? And spiritually, I always ask myself, if I passed away today, what would I regret in regards to what I lived in my life? And would I feel like I did not fulfill what I should have fulfilled? And you know, when I was younger, there may have been, this or that. But as I've grown older, and I'm like, life is amazing, right? And as long as every day is in the present and I'm driving to be the best version of myself, honestly, when that time comes, as long as I'm running this path, ups, downs, derailment, good times, bad times, doesn't really matter. But I'm on the path of being in the present and making the most of life as it comes as it hurtles towards me, as it does towards all of us, right? And I feel that coming, and it's consistent. But there's this unintended peace, and I feel people misunderstand the word peace. They think peace, same as people misunderstand the word retirement. Retirement isn't sitting doing nothing, sitting on a beach, sipping Mai Tais and eating whatever you want. Retirement to me is, okay, now I'm done working. Now I'm retired, but I'm going to go apply myself in all these other things that I like and do that more.
Yes, do more, chase my passion.
Right, I'm going to chase my passions. I'm going to do more. I was chasing them while I was working, but now I'm going to chase them even harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and when I think of peace is something that has to be maintained. Yeah. Peace is something that has to be cherished, protected, looked after. Right. Yeah. Peace in the world doesn't come by everybody not doing anything, just sitting down. Peace in the world comes by those who respect the idea of peace by putting their lives on the line in order to maintain it for the rest of us. Right. Literally. So when I think of peace in my life, right, or the idea of peace comes with hard work.
Totally.
It comes with sacrifice. It comes with all these multiple things. But if the end result I get is peace, right, that version of peace for myself, that gratitude in waking up every morning, seeing where I am, being in the present, being fulfilled with what I have in my life, that's my peace. Yeah. But in order to have that, I have to work at it. And I cannot stop working. And as we've said before, it's not the work, right? It's the fact of who I become, applying myself on a daily basis. And that is how you should see the derailment. You should look at everything happening is happening for you, not to you. when it happens, and I'm going to tell you, someone who's had it, it's very difficult to put yourself in that position.
You know, you talked about like it happens for you. Like yesterday, I had a situation that my past self, like I've really come to like this guy that I've become through this journey. So yesterday, something happened where I told you I came out to do that pressure wash thing, and I started to leave the hose at the property, thinking I'm going to need it for future use there. Yeah. And then I went, no, let me bring it with me just in case.
Yeah.
And I've been having some air conditioning issues in the house where I have to do some draining, and I need that hose to do this drain thing for the air conditioning. So I told myself, no, let me do that. Well, guess what? I get home last night. I go upstairs. I take a shower. I don't think to check the AC thing. I showered up, cleaned up all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I come out of the shower and realized, shit, I got an issue with the AC.
Yeah.
I had to climb up in the attic. I got in there. I needed the hose. I took care of all that. Sam says to me, it's just like, I'm sorry you had to do that. And I was like, I'm not.
It's all good.
I said, it's fine.
Yeah.
I said, but the funny thing is, I'm thrilled that I brought that hose on with me, because if I didn't, I would have had to run my ass back to the property to get the hose and come right back.
Yeah.
So it actually was a blessing. So again, it goes back to look at the silver lining of that. Instead of me complaining about climbing up in the attic after a shower, I was grateful that I brought the hose with me.
Yeah, there's always, and it's beautiful to see it in the smallest things, right? You try and
Simple
see
stuff.
it everywhere you can be, because it's inevitably is the reason you brought it home was because you were living in the present.
Yeah.
You weren't thinking about getting home. You weren't thinking about what you did. You weren't angry. You were like, I should probably take that with just in case.
Just in case.
Because you were being in the present, which is in this, and we're talking about the most simplest task that you were doing.
Literally.
Those are the times that's the most important. Is trying to, it's not being in the present where I'm sitting with my wife having breakfast and put the phone on, I'm in the present now, right? No. It's consistently working at it on a day-to-day basis and trying to do it in every situation, no matter how big or how small.
Right.
By staying in the moment, I guarantee you, those things you can control, you will control. And those things you can't control, you will let go.
Well, and my final thought on this would be, like, to summarize where we started to where we are at the end of this, is freedom.
Yes.
Right? That's the pursuit of what this is all about. It's to have freedom, not only, like, I think so many people think, freedom is about being financially free. No, freedom is literally living how you want to live.
Yes.
In all aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Being free of results. Being free from these outcomes so that you can truly live in the present. You can live and enjoy it. And have like peace and joy in your life.
And just be. Like, honestly, just be. No expectations, no one else. Be in the present, be in the moment, and be the best version.
When you were a kid, you were like that. Right? When you were a kid, you were like that. So just tap into that guy. You got to be a grown adult, but be a free thinker, free person is a very good place to be.
And in the end of this is, by doing that, any derailment you have, by being in the present, you will find your workarounds, you'll find a thing, and you'll also find that deep-rooted want to continue your journey despite whatever challenges you found. Yeah. And just keep on the road and keep pumping along.
And you tell me this, like, it's all good, right? It's all good. Like, things happen to you. It's all good. It's all right. It'll all work out.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.